What is it to have a more spiritual perspective? One way to characterize it is to be aware of a larger picture, to have a sense of connection to something larger than ourselves, to have a sense that we are part of that something larger, or maybe we are part and parcel of that something larger. So the thing that keeps coming back is that sense of something larger, as opposed to narrow-minded, just hyper-focused on something very narrow. So how do we actually use this concept in order to take that more spiritual perspective? What often people do is something that would be the equivalent of think larger thoughts, think bigger. And it might work for you, and it might work some of the time, and it might not some other time. And so what I'd like to do is to give you a perspective on this that is based on human biology, on how we are functioning as human beings in a down-to-earth way, so that the connection with the body, with our down-to-earth experience, is actually not something that is in contrast to spirituality, but is a gateway to the experience of spirituality, is part and parcel of the experience of spirituality. So, where's this concept of wider versus narrow? Well, if you think about how our nervous system functions, there are different circuits in the nervous system. And when we are under threat, and we go to fight and flight is a mobilization of all our resources to ensure survival. And so if there is a threat that you want to fight, you need to have all your energy focused on that threat to give yourself the maximum chances of overcoming it. That's the punch. Hyper-focused on the threat. If what's going to happen in fight or flight is your chance of survival is to run away, then all your attention is going to be focused on the exit path. Looking where you're going. And run! Super focused there. No wasted energy into peripheral vision. In contrast, when we feel safe, then the social engagement circuit, the mindful engagement circuit, opens up peripheral vision, connection to what is outside, broader perspective, connection to our more evolved cortical circuits that allow us to have a broader perspective that's not an abstraction. So it really helps to keep in mind that narrow versus broader perspective is something that is not an abstract thought, not something that we kind of strive to get at from just words, but this is something that corresponds to a state of the nervous system. And so, it pays to really be conscious of where we are. You find yourself tightening, your shoulders tightening, your chest caving in, breathing shallow. That is the contraction to handle threat, either to tighten and brace for the upcoming blow, or getting coiled and ready to strike or run away. In contrast, when it's safe, you can open up. Open up in a grounded and calm way, that your feet feel grounded, your whole body is resting, almost bouncing, feeling that connection, and And from that place, breathing more and feeling safe and opening up. Also, you can look around. You can see more. And you have that bigger picture. So what does this mean? I'm talking about embodied spirituality. To really pay attention to spirituality as something that is a function, an experience that we all have the potential to have and develop. And that accessing it is not by ignoring the body, but actually paying attention to bodily experience, paying attention to our relationship with what surrounds us, especially to the notion of, do we feel threatened or do we feel safe? And that is how we can shift from that more obsessive focus on self to a broader perspective. This is not a question of virtue. This is a question of feeling threatened versus feeling safe. And so instead of berating yourself for not having that connection to the bigger picture, think about, what is it that is making me feel so threatened that I'm tightening up? And how can I find a way to be safer, to feel more connected to people or circumstances that allow me to feel safer, to breathe and to open up? And then I will be able to regain that connection with that something larger, which is my birthright as a human being. This recording is part of the Proactive Mindfulness podcast. We explore how to be more present and engaged in our lives and how to make lasting change. This is a contemporary take on mindfulness, informed by embodied therapy and the polyvagal theory. You can find more articles and videos on the website proactivemindfulness.com.